Hey folks, Matt from Art of the Image back again with my first impressions on the Sigma 17-50 EX HSM DC OS lens. It's hard to remember these names, sometimes they're quite a mouthful. Anyways, there it is on the D7000. It's actually a nice fit for the D7000. It's not too big, it's not too heavy, keeps the camera fairly small and light. Again, as I mentioned in the unboxing video, has a nice smooth zoom ring on it, nice solid feel, and overall a nice feel to the lens, nice build quality, feels professional, feels really good. The focusing ring's nice and solid too. Basically, I've shot quite a lot with this already because I was excited and was playing with it. The lens appears to, my first impressions from everything I can see, is exactly what they were saying on the MTF charts. This thing is tack sharp. I am absolutely blown away with how sharp this thing is. If this is what is typical now of Sigma's new manufacturing tolerances and what they're going to be putting out, hey, kudos Sigma, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. It's got the optical stabilization on it, so you know that's the equivalent of Nikon's VR, which is really handy to have. You don't always need it, especially on a mid-range zoom, but it is really nice to have, you know, especially at 50 millimeters. If your subject's not moving, you can have the optical stabilization comes in really useful. You can get your shutter speed down, and you don't have to have your ISO up as high, so your image quality better, and it minimizes blur. So that's one of the things about optical stabilization, vibration reduction, image stabilization, whatever system you're calling it, that people mistake. They think they're going to be able to shoot anything at low shutter speeds and it's going to be tack sharp. If your subject's moving, folks, that's got nothing to do with the optical stabilization, the image stabilization, your VR. You still need a shutter speed to freeze your subject. The image stabilization, the optical stabilization, is just going to compensate for basically your hand holding ability of the lens. So that's often why you're supposed to shut it off on a tripod. You know, the rule of thumb is you shoot 1 over the lens length. So, you know, on film, if it was a 50mm lens, you'd shoot 1/50th of a second, or go up to 1/60th. With digital, the rule of thumb is that you multiply that by the focal length, or not the focal length, by the sensor multiplier. So if you're shooting with a DX camera, Nikon's are 1.5, Canon's are 1.6. So you know, you're shooting 50mm, you want to be at an 80th of a second to keep your shutter speed. And actually, I always recommend go even up 1 past that, because a lot of times people think their lens is bad or their camera's bad, and it's their own technique. So anyways, back to the lens. Really nice so far, very impressed with it. It's performing very well. I'm not seeing any negatives in the image quality. It seems to be quite flare resistant. It's nice and light, fits nicely on the D7000. It's performing well with the D7000. Autofocus is very fast and very quick to snap on with the D7000. So the lens itself is certainly not hampering the D7000's autofocus. It's working very nicely with it. It's very quick, on par with any of my fastest Nikon lenses, I would say. Overall, my first impressions are very favorable. Sigma seems to have done a bang-up job with this. I'm actually thinking about picking up the same lens for my Canon 60D that I just got, so that I have I mean, for the price, you could pick these up, I think at B&H they're around $650. In Canada here, they've been on sale for around $800. For an optically stabilized lens of this image quality, you gotta check out the MTF charts, because this thing is tack sharp and performs very well. Flare resistant, low chromatic aberration, very low distortion from vignetting and things like that. So for the price, you're getting an incredible deal. As I said, overall I think it's a better lens on paper anyways than the Nikon 17-55, which is almost twice the price. And you get the optical stabilization, and if you're in Canada, you get a 10-year warranty. So anyways, first impressions, very favorable. First impressions, 2 thumbs up. I'm going to keep shooting with it. I'm going to keep analyzing it. Make sure it's something I want to keep in the stable. Make sure it's up to my standards. it's very important for me to make sure I'm not missing something on a lens so that it ends up being on a client's job that I find out. So I like to test it, do a lot of shooting with it, do a lot of real world shooting to make sure it performs well and is up to my standards, and up to the standards of top Nikon lenses. Anyways folks, thanks for tuning in. Tune back in soon and we'll let you know the ongoing testing of the new Sigma. I'll let you know once I get one for the Canon 60D. I'm actually thinking about picking up the brand new Sigma 70-200 f2.8 OS. Again, that is a fully redesigned lens and supposedly it is the best to date of their 70-200s, and their 70-200s have always been very good, their f2.8s. So looking forward to trying that out too. Thanks for tuning in folks.